Sambhav, coming to you, this since talking about IP now, the startups that you work with, do they really care about IP? And do investors who invest into these startups, do investors as well as the startups, do they really care about IP in India?
I would say yes, they do now, and that's a trend that is changing. I would not say back 5 6 years, 7 years back, IP used to come in when validation of idea happened. I mean, IP used to come in when investors used to ask, "Oh, you have an IP." That's when they apply a trademark. But that trend is changing now, specifically of the aspect of people are now also realizing that the IP laws are better in say Singapore or specifically US, right? And it is also more or investor driven as well, where founders are now aware of that they need to have protect the IP right at the time when their organization is coming into existence. So one trend we are looking at as a change is whenever a new company is coming to us, say for incorporation, or we are advising founders on setting up the framework, IP is not something we are recommending. So if initially we were recommending to say 8 out of 10, that number is now down to say 4 out of 10. 6 are asking for the IP to be done as soon as the company is done applying for trademark, inquiring about patents. So that trend and that culture is setting in India also, but it has to be politically driven as well. So that's where the friction is on the startup ecosystem side. There is awareness. There has to be a reciprocal response from the political and the administrative front also.
Right. So honestly, in our view, since we have an IP focused law firm, uh, in the last few years, in the last 4 or 5 years, a lot has changed in India as well as IP is concerned. A patent application in India used to take about 6 or 7 years to get an approval, to get a grant in India. Now it takes about 7 to 8 months to get a grant in India for a patent application, which is perhaps one of the fastest in the world. US में 2.5 साल लगते हैं पेटेंट ग्रांट होने में. China takes about 18 months. Japan takes about 12 months. Europe takes about 4 years to give a grant on a patent application. India में 6 से 8 महीने में पेटेंट ग्रांट हो रहा है, जो कि पहले नहीं होता था. Now, on terms of trademark, now trademarks they're like gone to different level altogether. Trademarks used to take about 1 year, 2 year to get a grant of trademark in India, which is now happening in weeks. They put bots for trademark, and the bot will check कि तुम्हारा ट्रेडमार्क नया है कि नहीं है, ट्रेडमार्क कुछ में ट्रेडमार्क में कुछ नया है कि नहीं है, एंड द बॉट विल गिव यू अ रिपोर्ट सेइंग दैट ट्रेडमार्क पुराना है, बताओ तुम्हारे ट्रेडमार्क में क्या नया है. सो a lot is happening in India, and now there have been forums and people are because when Modi went to different platforms about 7 8 years back, he was being reprimanded for having weak IP laws, especially in Paris Convention when he went to Paris for a few years back. Uh, they said India में हम नहीं आएंगे because IP laws in India are very weak. So that's when it all started. The IPR policy came into picture. The expediting of patent application, trademark applications came into picture, and all that thing has been happening in IP. So India is definitely improving as far as IP is concerned. And yes, a lot of our clients have also in India, and so about 65% of our clients are US clients, about 35% are Indian clients. And these Indian clients are also getting a lot IP savvy, because when they are seeking investment from an investor, the investor asks them, हाँ कुछ IP है तुम्हारे में नया क्या है? So the patent application is the answer to the tough questions which the investors asks you. And then how will you beat competition? If you file a patent application, you can stop your competition from copying you. So a patent application definitely helps you to answer some tough questions which the investor asks you.